Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is May 25th, year 2022. Today is a day, the first Facebook Live right after our workshop that happened over the weekend. Thank you so much to all the attendees that actually attended the workshop and all the session leaders that led the sessions as well. So we had a fantastic time. Let me welcome our panel today. I'll start off with the left side of my screen. Patricia is here, who is part of our normal group meditators. And Kelly are here as well, who are Qigong teachers and spiritual teachers, have been on the panel for quite some time. And then we have Caesar as well, who is a channel and a spiritual teacher. Good evening, Caesar. And then Ken is here as well, who is part of our normal group meditators. Good evening, Ken. So what happened, and I was explaining the workshop that we just went through a workshop. We were discussing a lot of, I think we set it up on Sunday with Eckhart talking about the pain body. And then we went into this release from everyone, one after the other, the attendees. So Patricia had a question that, and then we couldn't answer, like Terry was there and I was there, but we ran out of time. Like my session ran over, then her session ran over. At some point in time, I had to say, hey, we need to move on to the next session kind of thing, right? So Patricia, you want to ask your question and I'll tag everyone while you're asking the question. Thank you.
Hi. I actually not necessarily remember exactly one question, but I know what I was getting at, because Terry asked question, what would you like to have more of in your life after doing the spiritual work and realizing that, you know, you would like something to either improve or have more of. And I said that I would like to have more of a relationship with my brother, because he's back in Poland. I'm in the United States. He's 9 years younger. He now has a family of his own. And yet I feel that this relationship is the one that I would like to work on right now. When we were very close when we were young. And then I left to the United States, and he completely is upset with me for that still. So he wouldn't even really hardly ever say hello on Skype when I'm Skyping with my mother. And I'm hearing from my mom that he is not doing that great. and he is basically stuck with my parents that didn't heal any of their pain bodies. I ran away and I actually prayed for him to be born as a boy for some reason. Not a girl, not a sister. I wanted a brother. And then I named him, and we were so close together. I took care of him a lot after schools and stuff. And then when he became a teenager, he rebelled against me, not against my parents, like normal teenagers do, but against me. But then I was 27, so he was already, well, like 18, 19 when I left the United States. So he was a young adult, and he just still thinks that that was the biggest mistake of my life, and he really doesn't. I try email, and every time I went to Poland for summer with my daughter, we couldn't even be in the room together. I know it's a long question. I'm kind of the backstory, but basically, if the question is knowing that there are pain bodies, there is a common history within the families, is there a specific approach to making up with someone? I don't know if that's the right word, to improve the relationship, which I'm feeling in my heart that I need that. So, or just move on and let it be what it is. I think I'm carrying somewhat heavy because I know that I forgave my parents and they are who they are. This is, I still talk to my mom every day a little bit. Now, my father is bipolar, so there's not too much of but I accepted it. But with my brother, I guess I still have hopes on fixing this. So
Thank you so much, Patricia.
somewhere there is a question.
How do you fix repair the relationship, or how do you return back to normalcy with the
When
relationship?
it's so close, yeah, with such a history.
So Kelly and Kelly, you all want to get started? And then I have something to say as well. Thank you. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Well, you can go first. No, you can go first.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia, for sharing that. Actually,
Yeah, family is an interesting learning experience. You've already explained, how your dad's bipolar and how aggressive he was growing up. And sometimes it's hard when we're younger to understand why someone needs to leave. When we view them as our support, as our anchor, our rock. And sometimes it's very hard to forgive when we're still angry. And especially, I'm going to make a cultural Eastern European kind of generalization. There we go. That's the word. The stoicness, the reserve, the restrained, emotional denial that is very common. And again, I got, half my family's German, Mennonite, no less. So lots of stoicness there, lots of bottled up stuff. And I sometimes wonder, how it is that I have the parents that I do, because dang it, I'm just so different. The awareness that you are displaying is part of the process of quote unquote fixing something. And what I have discovered in my own journey of wanting to fix my family and then going, oh, I can't do the work for them, but what I can do is I can hold the space within myself of the forgiveness, no matter what is thrown at me. And I have witnessed how much that actually changes an awful lot. When you hold the love and the compassion and the kindness and the forgiveness within yourself, and you can kind of aim it, not project it, but you can focus your intention on the family member that you want. And especially if you are actually in direct contact with that family member, as in face-to-face, it's much more effective and much more direct of an impact, because their egos will kick and scream and try and do everything they can to reassert control and to reassert emotional dominance and leverage through attacking, through judging, through being angry, through being in fear and in separation from your higher self, your heart. And family, blood family, is sometimes not actually who your family really is. So, because at a soul level, we're really here to grow spiritually. We're really here to grow and to learn and to get beyond our ego attachments. And this is something that I've been through many times over with my family, to varying degrees. Sometimes to the point where I don't talk to certain people in my family for long periods of time. And, you know, at first it was really, really hard because I love my family. I want them to be whole. I want them to heal. I want them to experience love. I want them to experience the kind of contentment and satisfaction and awareness of life that I have. Except one of the things that I just realized early on, after doing a lot of trying to fix things, was that not everyone will ever be in the place that I am at, or want to be, or even have it in them to even consider that it's possible. And that was, you know, that was a huge ego letdown at first. And then I began to see the gift that it actually was, in terms of the gift of giving myself a space to offer that support with unconditional love, even if the other person could not receive it. Because that's the true test of your own commitment to yourself, especially with family. Because family, yeah, honestly, my family is the greatest teachers I've ever had, because, you know, you want to learn where you're at mentally, emotionally, and heart wise. Go and spend a weekend with your family.
Can I say?
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
interrupting you now.
Yeah, no,
No.
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I feel for you, Patricia. My brother is actually 21 years younger than me. And he and I, because I was, oh sheesh. Yeah, I was 21 when he came to live with us. And I was almost like his second mom. And so when I moved out, but he was really little, but he was upset
Right.
because he didn't understand at that age that I would come back, but not to live there. Now, I know you said your brother's was older when you left. So I was going to ask you a couple of questions, if that's okay, because it feels like there are some emotions like that. Maybe he's holding on to being angry for some reason. And I don't know if he wants to talk to you about it, which of course you can never make someone talk to you about anything. But I guess I was wondering, like, you've already made yourself, vulnerable. So I don't, want to put you on the spot, but are there some emotions for you that you have that, like, maybe, like, do you feel guilty at all? Or do you feel angry that he's angry and that you can't talk? Is there anything or anything else that comes up for you?
I guess in the beginning, I felt very disappointed that he aimed it at, everything at me, that I was wrong and everything. Even I must say, when I was already, it wasn't even a young adult, but I would sometimes have a cigarette or something, and then he would run to my father and it's like, Patricia is smoking. It's like, and my father was upset. I mean, he would just like, tattletale on me to get me in trouble. So there was a lot of, even though, it was like,
Yeah.
he was doing it when he was like 7, 8, 9, right? And I was a older teenager at this point, stuff like this. So, but that we were kids still, we were trying to get each other in trouble. But he almost didn't stop. He didn't realize that we are at some point adults, and I don't want him to keep doing that, finding something in me that I did wrong, and it almost seems like it's happening. And yes, I was his protector from my parents many times. When my father was upset with him, or I would just defend and just be the shield.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
at some point when I needed to leave them, because I couldn't, I honestly, for 9 years, I was the one, and they were both like telling me what to do on different levels. So I needed to breathe. So I had him. He was my hope to kind of spread it a little bit too. And then, I didn't leave when he was little, really. I left when he was already, like 17, 18. So he already has girlfriends, his school and stuff. But still, even now when he sees me, sometimes he say, she would say, come home or whatever. So now you're going to come home and everybody for funerals now.
Uh,
So his maturity level, it's still, 12, 13. But
Right.
now he's a father. He has
Yeah.
2 girls, 1 and 3-year-olds. And my mom is very upset that many times he is the same way towards his wife. So I just would like to help him, but just for his sake, but also, he actually had a scare because I think it was 5 years ago, he had a heart attack being such a young man
Oh,
because he was
wow.
really into bodybuilding and I guess really overdoing it. And at work, he had a heart attack. So they took him to the hospital and saved his life. So he had like almost a second now remake.
Mhm.
Wow.
It's still, that way. My mom blames my father. So there is a blame game all the time that's my father's problem. But I don't want to be a blame at this point. I would like to, but you're right. If he doesn't mature, I can only offer him this unconditional love because
Yeah, and the power of you doing your own work, it might take a little longer. Like I know with one of my sisters, I've had a relationship very much like that, but we were always fighting. And as an adult, I would have to just spend like not as much time with her because I knew that I had to heal what my wounds were, and I couldn't make her do it. And she does hold a lot of anger still, even though she has changed and our relationship is slowly changing. But a lot of it's just because I have no judgment towards her anymore,
right.
that this is the way that she is. And it really just, it can be hard because especially when we're triggered, but if you deal with the way that you're triggered and the way that you feel and just offer him that, and sometimes just being honest, like if you had a conversation and said, I really love you and I miss you, and whether or not he believes you or whatever doesn't matter, because that you're telling your truth. And if you keep repeating it enough, people can eventually hear you.
It'll eventually sink in.
Wow. That's a very good, just say what you feel without expecting a good reaction. I mean, that he's like either ignores it or not even show up or start making fun of me or telling me, oh, I look old, because that's what he does lately. He's like, oh, you look so old. I'm like,
ask him if that's all he's got. If that's his only way of communicating, by insulting you, and if he understands that that's what his dad did and that he's just repeating a pattern. I mean, sometimes, like holding love and kindness is great and all, but sometimes you actually just go,
and
being honest, like
and,
that's love, but it's tough love.
And not
where
even
you just
saying
get
it,
that.
like not even saying it in a mean way,
Yeah.
but just saying, oh, do you know that that's like one of dad's patterns?
Yep.
And then just let it go.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know I've had to do that with people too, where I just say, oh, that's how,
same.
And then
it's like, hey,
just putting the mirror like here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because because I feel like you have a very good sense of who you are, and that while it might hurt still a little bit, like you're working through that, like if he's, giving you insults, but I feel like you're moving into a place where you don't actually believe what he says.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to be hurt by what he says, because you are growing so much as a person. And it does, when people that we care about say things like that to us, it can hurt. But the more you practice that, going, oh, I don't have to be hurt by that. He's saying that because he's hurting. And I feel bad for him. It doesn't mean you have to put up with it. You can, say to him very nicely, I didn't like that, or put up, a boundary, or, how you would ask how you'd like to be respected, and keep repeating that. You don't have to take it from people, but also
unconditional love does not mean unconditional tolerance.
That's my favorite new thing these days.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's like, you can love someone unconditionally, but you do not have to tolerate their behavior. And you can honestly, say that to your brother. It's just like, I love you unconditionally. You're my brother. I'm always going to love you. But I don't have to tolerate the insults. I don't have to tolerate your behavior. It doesn't matter what you say or what you do. I'll always love you, but your behavior is
Yeah.
not very loving or kind or gentle.
I'm here for you when you'd like to have a conversation.
Wow. You guys are so wise.
Yeah,
So
hard
wise.
earned.
Well, we practice, but
We
we still have
practice.
to practice.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
We have
always have to
earned
practice.
we have earned it.
Yeah, now I'll try to channel my inner Kellys when I
There you
talk.
go.
Well, and honestly, like, you know, one of the things that they say about kung fu is that kung fu is only 10% external. You only see 10% of kung fu by someone moving. The real kung fu is the mental emotional conditioning.
Oh, isn't that true for all martial arts?
Yep. Doesn't matter if you have a black belt. Belts are great for holding up the pants.
That was a good one. Thank you so much.
Thank you
were
so much, Kelly and Kelly. 2 cents. The penny jar is filling up. 4 cents. Good. Thank you. You know, one of the things I wanted to tell Patricia, I think what we have to understand is our siblings are we have a soul contract with them so that they can irritate us. And like, you know, there was another recount of a story where there was a sibling that was irritating the sister, right? So that's their role. That's how we are going to grow, right? And when somebody's tattletelling on us, so the compassion that we need to bring is what that human being in that moment, that ego, that identified mind is doing. They are becoming superior, because then the father is going to say, oh, I love you, but your sister is smoking a cigarette and now she's bad, right? So that little boy is building his ego. And the parent not having enough presence power is feeding into the ego and actually flaming, you know, like giving it more fire by instead of saying it's okay, she's a teenager, let her do it, right? By exploding on you, then they are showing that. And so now that pattern imprint is going on to that little boy, and now he's learned. Now he's an adult and he's doing it to his wife. That means that's the compassion we need to bring to that person, right? That they're just acting, all these human beings are just acting their conditioned patterns until that awareness grows. And you cannot do it for them. You cannot bring that awareness to them. Their pain and suffering will bring them their awareness. They'll come through a spiritual teaching, right? So that's one thing I wanted to offer about that, that you cannot judge your sibling that's saying, oh, why do I have this brother? Why are brothers born that are so irritating or so annoying? Or why do I have sisters that are so irritating, so annoying? That whole dynamic of mother, father, brother, sister was born. We are fulfilling each other's soul contract, right? We are irritating to them, they are irritating to us until awareness grows, right? So that's one thing I wanted to offer about this to everyone. And I saw Louise post, you know, Eckhart's normal saying is, the more shared past we have with someone, the more present we need. So we just need to bring more presence power. So Louise Dunaway had that feedback on the. So Caesar, you want to add something more than what Kelly and Kelly have stated about this, and then we'll go around. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, it was beautiful. Kelly and Poonam, very well said. So I would just like to add that, you know, Poonam just mentioned that, you know, you can only do what you can only do. So you realize that you are love. And you can just direct who you are without the expectation of what you get in return. To love somebody feels good. What you get back from them in return isn't your business, I guess, in a sense. It makes you feel good to love that person. And maybe in this situation, you might just want to throw it out there. When the time is right and you feel the need, perhaps call him and present him with exactly what you're looking for. Maybe this can be very simple. And just say, you're my brother. You don't have to really get into the past and all this stuff. He was there, he remembers. But just say, I would like a better relationship with you. We're getting older. And I long for this love for my brother. You know, I love you so much. I respect you. I look up to you. You know, the pain of being away and, has caused me, to suffer a little bit. And is it possible we can better our relationship? And in the meantime, again, we go back to not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me? The lesson is continuing to be offered. So at the end of the day, just be you. You are love. Love him the way that you do, the way that you are. The low vibing feelings, that you sometimes feel when you think about them. You're putting that out there, and that's what you're getting back, honey. That sorrow, that pain.
Also judgment too, that he's so immature that he does, yeah.
Yeah, and see, we understand one thing. You're either conscious or you're not. So we know why he does or acts or behaves the way he does. Plain and simple. There's only one answer. And to know that and to understand that should bring you great peace. To know that, listen, this ain't personal. Going back to one of the 4 agreements, don't ever take anything personal. It's not personal. We cannot control what other people think or feel. And we also know that what others, even if it is a sibling or a parent or whatever, what another person thinks or even says about us cannot affect our very being. It can only affect the conditional egoic mind.
Right. And if it does, and we're feeling something rising, it means that it's something in us that responds to this, right?
For sure. The feelings are there, the emotions are there as your guidance system to let you know where your vibrational frequency is at. And that in turn will allow you to know what's coming your way, what you're going to attract in a sense. So, my best advice would probably be, when you think of your brother, think happy thoughts, think love, think peace. And that's what you will begin to create and manifest. And like I said, maybe perhaps when you feel the impulse to pick up the phone and call him and just throw it out there, and don't have any expectations of what it's going to be, because we know at the end of the day, it's going to be what it's going to be. We are not in control of that. But keep the vibrational, keep the vibrations high, when you think of your brother, and that will begin to have an effect, to deliver what you want. See, we're creating everything that shows up in our life, right? We either do
I
it deliberately.
do that. That's a great idea. Yes, just remember, think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because life's going to offer back exactly how you feel, according to what are you tuned into? Where's your frequency? Sorrow, pain, regret, guilt, blame, remorse, resistance, if that's what you're putting out there, it's what you're going to get back. So
Yes.
dial
And now,
that into peace,
thank
love,
you
and joy.
so much.
Right.
Yes, and thanks to the workshop and mantras and qigong thing. Now I know how to raise vibration. So before, I guess, yes.
That's the grid filling in, right?
Mhm.
Everything's taking shape to get you where you're supposed to be. Well, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Exactly where you're supposed to be at this exact moment. So yeah, just keep smiling. I know it's easier said than done, of course.
It's easy
But-
with you guys when I'm sitting here and talking. Look, it's such a sore subject for me, but I'm smiling and laughing because you also are sharing such a good vibrations.
when you lay down in bed and the thought rushes in, and maybe that's when you're getting most sad
Right.
or concerned about it, and it makes you feel a certain type of way. Ask yourself where your mind is. Like Poonam just mentioned, you dissolve the past. There's so much momentum and and conditioning together from the past that only the power of presence is going to be what dissolves that. So when these feelings arise, you have a thought and then the emotion takes place based on a thought. Just ask yourself, where's my mind? You know what you were thinking, but where was my mind when this happened? Is it in the past or was it in the future? And just being aware that it wasn't in the future is presence itself, right?
Right.
That gets you back to zero. So yeah, I would practice the power of presence all day long.
Yay, power of presence. We get back to it always.
Yeah, hopefully maybe you'll get the impulse to pick up the phone, perhaps maybe, or you see him or whatever, and just deliver. Don't try to write the speech. Don't think about what you're gonna say. It will come to you at the time. You'll find the words will come to you at the exact moment they need to, and just let it flow. The perfect words will come out what you're trying to say. Because when you think about what you're gonna tell somebody in advance, it never comes out that way.
True.
So just let source be your guide when that time comes. If you're going to have that conversation with them, and again, just ask them. Just say, listen, I want a better relationship with you, or however you approach them, and I just throw it out there. But don't expect anything in return, and don't think about it in the meantime, because what you think about, God, what if I have this conversation and he rejects me?
Right.
Guess what's
I
going to
mean,
happen?
it happened before. I tried that 2 years back. I did try, and
Make
then
sure you turn to that
didn't
chapter.
go anywhere. So that's why I kind of still holding, because I felt that it wasn't enough. I tried, didn't go anywhere, but maybe now I'm in a better position.
It wasn't
More
It
present.
wasn't supposed to happen then. It wasn't supposed to happen then. That's why it didn't. It will happen when it's supposed to happen. And as long as you keep thinking about the past and the results, which were unfavorable, I guess, or not what you were looking for, where are you in terms of what's going to show up? Are you more focused on, the positive outcome, the one that you desire? Or are you focused on the void of that, the resistance showing up, based on the past? Get out of your own way, and like I said, just when you think of your brother, think happy thoughts. How great it is to have this relationship with my brother, not what it's going to be like, how great it is. It's already happened. You just got to align with it.
Thank you so much, Caesar. That was such a good advice. Thank you. And I think everybody can use it. Whoever is watching and listening to any family member, right? That's a great advice. It's universal.
We thank you, Patricia, for your vulnerability and courage that you're opening it up. But I know whoever is listening is going to be able to. That's why I asked your permission if I could bring it up.
Let me just turn the lights on because it's getting dark here, okay?
Sure, thank you. So here Cecile says, most of the times we are all screaming to be understood and loved. And lately I'm grateful for this awareness as I was listening to someone relating something bad and he did in the past. So she was a good listener. So I just wanted to bring that up. She responded online. So thank you so much, Caesar, for your input. One of the things that I would say from what Caesar has said is, where is your pain and suffering? Your pain and suffering is in wanting something that is not. Because what is the present moment? Is your brother with you? Lucid living is to see clearly what is my present moment. Without any narrative, no drama, no why is he not coming over? Why does he say that I'm old? No drama about it. What is the present moment? Is my brother with me? No. So what does planetary intelligence want at this moment from Patricia? That Patricia should be without her brother. So we are arguing, as Byron Katie says, right? When we argue with reality, we only lose 100% of the time, if only.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness, I just had a plan, Poonam, to fix a relationship with my brother, being on good vibrations, doing Qigong and thinking happy thoughts. And now you just messed me up saying that, well, if he's not here, maybe the universe doesn't want me to. So should I keep?
No, I mean, you can what I'm saying is when you were upset, about it, right? When you go into the low vibration about it, as Caesar said, why do you go into low vibration? Because you're arguing, you're in resistance to the present moment. First, accept that this is my present moment, that he is not with me. And that is what planetary intelligence wants in this moment. My brother is not with me, and that is okay. First, be okay, like be in contentment that I'm going to feel the joy, get into the high vibrational state of joy that I just love being by myself. I don't need my brother. I don't need my daughter. I don't need my husband, ex-husband. I don't need my work people. The second thing I would say is, if you see what you say about your dad, about your coworker and your brother, there is something about men that are dominating, that you have a deep, down to the core level of your spirit, like your karmic account. Karmically, you are not able to tolerate it.
That's true. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to mention that it's not just my brother. It's like he almost is a continuum of my dad, because I can't do anything with my dad at this point. He's lost, right? He lost his mind. So now I'm trying to fix the relationship at the level of my brother, who is his continuum in a sense.
So there was a point in time my mom had stopped speaking to me, right? For a few years, she had stopped speaking to me, and I would try what Caesar and Kelly are saying, right? I would call my brother. I would say, hey, how's mom doing? And I want to talk to her. He would try to make her talk to me, but she would refuse and all that. Then I went through like a sexual harassment at work. And at that point in time, I decided I was going to forgive this person no matter what. Right? And it really, from every cell of my being, I forgave that person. And what happened was, nothing came out of that. But my mom called me and said, hey, why don't you come to India? I want to see you. You all see the incredible, so the resentment that I had about my mom and her anger, in this forgiveness, that thing resolved.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I cut the karmic account with that resentment.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Amazing.
Right?
So in a sense, it's not really what the outside, what what person brings that resentment. It's that you need to heal it here no matter what. And then
Everything outside will heal. He'll call you and he will say, hey, I'm sorry, Patricia, I'm sorry about what you're, until you heal your own past, your own karmic conditioning, the other will not heal.
Correct.
well, now the question is, how do I do that? I thought I did.
You're doing the work already. Keep doing the work, keep building your awareness, and we'll go to Ken and let's see what Ken has to say, and then Michelle has to say about the same topic. Ken, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Thank you.
Wow, this has been incredible. I love what everybody is saying. Yes, I'm so glad that you brought it up. And I want to say, Patricia, just the idea, think of all the gifts you have in your toolbox. Think of everybody here. And then I want you to think of your dad. Who does he have? And then I want you to think of your brother and think of who does he have? What are their belief systems? And what is your belief system? And what is happening to you as you dive in and have the courage and the vulnerability to show up and talk about this? And then I can think of you 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, you were going through loss. And then issues came up with your brother, loss. So what's happening is you're rejuvenating with new information and with all of us just being present. And and then I just want to say, as you were speaking of your brother, and you said there was 9-year difference, and to me, he needs to get into his feelings or his emotions, but rather than him doing that, he blames you. So that's going to definitely affect his heart. You mentioned he had a heart attack. You mentioned how he's treating his wife, how he's treating his kids, but then he's angry at you. So he's carrying a resentment, and that resentment is hurting him, but it's also hurting you. And now you just put it out there. And I love what Kelly said, just put it right out there. Tell him you love him, tell him you miss him. You like to talk, but you won't take his attitude and tell him you need to drop that, and then we can talk. And it's funny because 5 years ago, I went through almost the identical thing with my oldest brother. My oldest brother lives in Vermont, about 250 miles away from me. And I knew when this happened that what I had to do. And so what had happened was he kept saying certain words to me, and when he would get upset, and I was a people pleaser then. And I took it. And then one day I stood up to him. Well, he didn't like that. And I told him that his attitude was unacceptable. And what did he do? He was at my house, he got up and he left. And I knew it. I said, okay, I'm going to wait a few months. I called him up. Didn't want to talk. I said, okay, there's the 3-year-old. Okay. But I knew, because I'm his mirror. I went through everything he went through. If I didn't heal myself and understand that, I wouldn't have been able to connect with him, because I would have said, well, if you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. So I didn't play the game. And then about 6 months later, I went up to Vermont. He just about said 2 words to me. I knew it. I just showed up. I was just present. I was able to talk to everybody else. Everybody else was cool, but my brother just couldn't surrender, and he couldn't let go of his pride. So, okay, another 6 months. I went back again. Well, that time I got 4 words. A little shift. I said, okay, all right, I know. And also in all these different things, I tried to talk and said different things and plant some seeds as I could. And then it was probably I don't know, a year and a half went by after that. And then a lot more talking came in. And probably about 6 months after that, he called me and said, "When are you coming up?" And I said, "Next week." I got my brother back, but it took almost 4 years going through all this. So I realize I love him. I realize, we're so much alike, what we had to go through. And it's been incredible. But, and I'm going to go back to your dad and your brother. So when your dad and your brother were ganging up on you, your brother's, his role model was definitely unconsciousness and ego. And then you had said you had to leave. So you as the female coming in, and I love what everybody's saying about you're learning lessons. And you're the one that pulled away, that's courageous. You're the one that's really doing the work. They're not. So they're going to do whatever they can. One is going to fight you, try to make you wrong to make them right. Just don't buy into it. And the other one is really showing his feelings as best he can, even saying, "What are you going to do? Just come home for funerals?" But that's the best he can say. "I love you. I miss you." But he's not saying it. So tell him. It's almost like I just love what everybody's saying. And so it's something where I just feel you're just building up so much confidence. You're just building up so much strength, so much courage, and you're getting exactly what you need. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken. That's such an inspirational story. Yes, it sounds just like it. But you got your brother back, so it was worth it, definitely. So you felt that inner, some kind of will that made you keep doing it, right? Instead of just your ego ability. It's like, okay, if he doesn't want to talk to you, I won't talk to him, right? You felt that growing presence. And
I was able to love him in a way that he always wanted, but never had, just like me. So it was easy for me to give him, and I do. I love him dearly. And he was, for a long, long time, my closest brother. And we would talk about the family and all this other stuff, but we were both unconscious. And then what happened is I became conscious. He didn't like it. And he really was like your dad and like your brother. I saw both. He played it out, but that's the best. That's all he has. It's just like your brother. Your brother doesn't have other people like what we have. So he's stuck in his pain. And he's so stubborn, or he's stuck in his pride. And he doesn't know any better. And he's taken out all that stuff on everybody, even himself.
And it's funny because here I am once again to my little brother wanting to be a shield and protect him from himself this time.
And that's what you're learning you can't do. And I love that's really pretty much what Poonan was just saying. You're not supposed to be with him right now. You're supposed to put your own shield up for you. We're not responsible for other people's shields. That's their job.
Wow, thank you. That was so insightful. Wow. And congratulations on your brother. Yeah, it's good ending. I mean, just continuing, but it's a good point that you reached that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm actually, the tears are coming up.
That's beautiful.
Ah,
Tears of joy. So you're healing beautifully.
thank you.
Beautiful, Ken. Phenomenal. Thank you so much for that pointer. So one of the things when Ken was saying he has his own resentment, one of his resentments could be, Patricia, that he stuck with your mother and father and you got to get away. you got the freedom, because everybody in the other country imagines that we are having like this millionaire lifestyle, and because that's what they see in the movies. Like people in America have all this abundance. They don't realize we have to like live paycheck to paycheck in the beginning, and how we are struggling to put food on the table, and we have to clean our own house and do our own dishes, do all the, what do you call it, after the ecstasy, the laundry, chopping wood and carrying water. Right? They don't understand that we are still chopping wood and carrying water, just in a different city and a different
Yeah, and every
country.
time I had issues, any problems, any stuff that I shared with my mom's like, you have to come home. I'm like, that's not, I don't want to. It's not, I live here now. They thought that just coming home would save me, but
Selfish.
that was in my head, it was worse. It's like, I have to really make it here, because the last thing I want to do is go home. Even though normal you would think that it's such a good and thing for someone to say, oh, if you have problems, if you're alone, if you have married, just come home, we'll take care of you. No, that's not working here anymore. So
You're doing the work, so just keep doing the work, and
Mhm.
the repair will happen. Just like I was saying, right? Some relationship, that karmic account with somebody else, you settle it, and all the other karmic, like that, you heal that karma, because you were to learn that lesson of forgiveness. You have to learn to forgive your dad. You have to learn to forgive all the tattletelling of your brother. Forget the past. And that's why Eckhart has a simple instruction, right? The past has no power over the present moment. Whether your brother tattletold on you at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, no, let him tattletale to his heart's content, right? Even now, if he goes and tells your parents something about you, that's okay. Oh, Patricia's gone woo woo, and she does woo woo stuff, and she eats woo woo things. Let him tattletale, right? It's okay, right? No power over the present moment. Your present moment is wash your celery, make your celery juice, drink your celery juice, go to work, deal with whoever is at work, one moment at a time. Come back, be at the Facebook Live, be at the group meditation, be your meditation. That's your present moment. It's not, they're lost in their identified mind, so it's okay. And that's the compassion that we have to bring to them.
Right.
Michelle, you want to say something more? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Amazing perspectives on all sides. The only thing I have to add is maybe reach out, think about, sometimes, at least for me, when I've had situations that are similar, I write. Instead of having a conversation, I write a letter. Because at that point in time, you're dealing with your own feelings, and you can be vulnerable with whatever, maybe the good memories that you had with him, right? And maybe you can express, even, I can see from the other perspective what my leaving Poland and leaving you there with mom and dad, how that must have made you feel, right? And I can understand that, but I want to explain mine. You know what I mean? And you have a blank slate where you don't have to be in that back and forth conversation where there might be a risk of him triggering you and you triggering him and it goes south. So it might be a good way to start is just having like your own feelings and really being raw and real with them and expressing them. And when I've been able to do that, it has gone well, because it's almost like a cathartic exercise for myself to be able to, like, okay, what did, I look in the mirror, or I divulge what that is. And then I try to express what that other person must have been feeling and validate that. but you know, this is where you're at now, and you want to move forward, and you would like to reconcile in a healthier way. And then you let it go because you did what was true to you and you honored that. And then whatever happens, happens, but you can be at peace with whatever the outcome is, whether that's reconciliation or not reconciliation, because sometimes what we think is not a happy ending, but what has that done to you? That's like strengthened your inner sense of who you are. If he's not ready to reconcile and he doesn't want to go there, you've done what you needed to do, and you could feel good with that and be at peace with that. You know, right now my relationship with my brother isn't in a good space, and I've said what I needed to say, and I feel fine with it. I feel fine because he is who he is, and I can't change him. As much as I would like to, and we've had discussions about Eckhart and these types of whatever, he's not ready. He's not ready to let go of the victim identity of the past, of whatever he's carrying. He is not ready. And I know because he's brought it back up, and I'm like, I'm not going there. I'm done with that. You know? But I wish him the best. When I think of him, I want him to be successful and happy. I don't want any ill will to come to him. But at the same time, I just honor where I'm at, and I don't suffer because of it, you know? And you make peace with it. And then maybe 5 years down the road, who knows, or whatever, you know? But you honor, I don't know, for me, writing has always been like very cathartic. You know, I just think sometimes conversations, when it can go back and forth, and a lot of old wounds could come up, and, you know, and at least you know that you've said everything you needed to say. You didn't leave anything out, because you have the time to sit there and write and edit or think back and maybe do it, you know, not in one sitting. Maybe you need to revisit it. So just some practical, you know.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's very good.
You know.
I did try it also a few years back, but by sending him email, and it actually got a good response. But then I guess he went back and I went back to my issues. So I guess it worked a little bit. So maybe I could also try, to continue.
And you can say,
then,
look, my aunt, you know, our aunt passed away. This has really gotten me thinking about, you know, how precious life is, and I miss you. And you can be very authentic and vulnerable when you're writing, and you don't have to, it's easier. I mean, I find it, you know, to be really true to what you want to say.
right. My mom,
and you're in a different space now.
Right. My mom actually mentioned that, you know, Peter didn't really like my aunt, that one, because my aunt she had the biggest heart, but she also had boundaries. If they had some understanding, even when he was a little boy, because she was great disciplining, which is really teaching boys, because she was a teacher, gym teacher in the high school for boys, right? So she had a great relationship with boys. She knew exactly how to, and Peter wanted to, you know, get away with stuff. He was like, and then he didn't like it, that there was a consequences if he, you know, didn't do his part of the bargain. So I guess that's why he, you know, was pulling away from her a lot, because he liked the fact that he could play our parents against each other, and she would not have that. So she would, you know, really, like Kelly.
She saw right through him.
Put it right, exactly. Put it right in his face without sugarcoating.
And he didn't like that.
Oh, no. So, but then I was sure he would not go to the funeral, but he just offers, like, I'm going. So my mom and my uncle went. My father didn't go. So, and then my mom said that when someone was reading eulogy that I wrote, that was my way of that cathartic feeling to write goodbye for my end. So they read it. He was like, his tears were pouring down his cheeks.
I think he's ready. I think it sounds like his heart's ready to be cracked open. You know what I mean? But there's so much history and he doesn't know how. He might not know how, right? Open the door.
Yeah, so with all your advices, if I put it together, I think I will at least see if I can, like you said, and if whatever happens, I will trust the present moment to do its magic. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
And you may be in a different level of consciousness than your previous communication. So what Michelle has offered is like the perfect.
Right, that's what I was thinking too, yes. And that's what Caesar also said, that, that wasn't the moment then, or, yeah.
Kelly and Kelly, do y'all have anything else to say before we wrap up? Any more advice?
I don't know. I liked what everyone said. I think Patricia's got a lot of things that she could draw on.
I got huge.
Yeah.
I'm
And-
thinking,
yeah.
Yes,
And-
give me.
And it's very true. Like the more that you do of your own work and the more that you let go of, it's easier to hold that space for yourself, no
Yep.
matter what someone else is doing or saying.
Yep.
And, the best thing that you can do if you want to change the energy in your family is to, I think Michelle said something too that I thought of, because it was something that I had with my sisters, is that sometimes we feel resistance to doing something, not because we actually feel it's not ours, it's theirs. And they're pushing at us the energy that, well, it'll never be resolved. We're never going to get along, but
Yep.
that's not true.
Yep.
And I know for me and my family, like with my sister, one of my sisters in particular, when I learned how to just let go of that and be like, it is going to be what it is. I can't get her to not hold a grudge. I can't get her to look at her anger. I can't do anything about that, but I can let go of mine. And I can just choose to look at her every day as a different person than she was yesterday. So
Fresh, right? Fresh, whatever it is, without that, but she's this and that from the past, right?
yeah.
I think that's very liberating for everyone, not only for you, but also for that person, because you don't have that image, that, the filter through which you're seeing the person's behavior, right?
Yeah.
Like you would just see her for the first time in your life, right? Freshness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, letting go, when you actually do it, when you let go of your attachment to the past and the pain, and again, understand that people are just where they're at. And when you stop trying to fix them and you focus on your own work, your inner work, it really does change an awful lot. And sometimes it can happen really fast. And sometimes it takes more work because the pattern is so deeply embedded in the family. I mean, and again, family is literally your greatest learning arena, because all the patterns are there. They'll always come up to the surface. They'll always be in your face, especially the more you do your work. You'll become more and more aware because you're looking at your own stuff and you're letting go of your own stuff. And then you go, oh, man, here it still is. And what do I do with that? And I don't have to do anything with that.
When you can stop judging someone
Yep.
else because they're just there. They're
Yep.
just where they're at. And you can't change that. They will want to change that, or they need to see it, or they won't.
Yep.
Right. And when you can really get to that point, when you can accept that about anyone, your life is so much calmer.
And jabs and
But it's work together.
it's work. Yeah, it is.
Especially-
It is a lot of work. It's a lot of discipline. You got to do your work. The more you become aware of your own stuff, the more you can see it in other people, especially family. And it is very true that the real magic is doing your own work. And I love Ken's story about his brother, because that's a perfect story. Because when you actually let go and you hold space for someone, even if they're angry, and you don't send any judgment or fear or anything back at them, but you hold that neutral space, being centered in yourself, it changes. It completely negates the anger, the judgment, and everything. And it takes practice, but that's the magic. When you are present with yourself in that way, in a neutral space, you're very mindful, you're in observation, and you're seeing what's going on, and you go, oh yeah, okay. I know this game because I played it with myself. I've let go of it, and they're still in the game. And you step out of the game, or step out of the karma, because that's what karma is the game our egos play with ourselves to keep us hooked into anger, fear, and judgment, and separation from ourselves and other people in this way. And that's where the loving kindness is. When you hold that neutral space, there's no need to respond in kind. I was just thinking earlier, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind, right?
We got a couple of good ones.
I got
today.
some zingers in there today. All right. Yeah.
I love that one. Is that you? Copyrighted?
No, this is like there's an old saying. I know that Gandhi would say this, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, leaves the whole world blind and unable to eat. So, what are you going to do? You're going to, leave your family blind, leave yourself blind, you're going to leave others blind, unable to digest, unable to feel, because you just return it with such force. It's like, no. I mean, in the martial arts, this is sort of like actually a perfect analogy. It's like the strongest technique is actually softness, is actually being relaxed and not meeting force with force, but absorbing and neutralizing, and then returning the same energy without harming your attacker. And the way that you return that energy is through calmness, relaxation, observation, and acceptance. And just understanding that the attack against you is the illusion, that people are just programmed to be in attack and defense. And until they're shown otherwise, they will never understand that another reality exists. And this is one of the things about doing our work and being present with ourselves, is we teach that to ourselves. We give ourselves that gift, and then we are no longer blinding ourselves or letting other people stay blind, because you're offering that new reality to them. Even if they don't register it at first, they will feel it.
I think April offered that saying during one of the first, not the previous workshop, but the one before that, about the cultivating the sacred heart. And she was saying that we're all trying to protect our hearts with all those shields, but is it really protected? No. So the way to protect our heart is really to open it up, which is, against ego understanding, right? Because all it does is the defense mechanisms, but they're not protecting us at all. They're just hurting.
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you so much,
Thank
Kelly
you.
and Kelly. The one thing I also wanted to add, when Ken brought up the look, he had a heart attack. He may have resentment and anger, right? So the one thing I would say, and something of the similar nature happened during the workshop as well, where a brother had some health issues, right? The one thing I would say is when they fall, like we are seeing out of their actions as, and I brought this up quite a few times, that karmic law is compensatory. They've set out of their actions, they've already set into motion what they will, it's a law of cause and effect, right? What they will experience. But we don't have to, the moment we judge it, the moment we say, oh, he got it because he was resentful, or he was such a mean person, so he's unloving and he got the heart attack, then we are also participating in that karmic law. It's just like what Eckhart says, right? Like if somebody, like the vigilante, right? We have all these Batman movies and who's that? I used to love his movies.
Avengers.
No, the spaghetti westerns. Now I can't think of his name.
But is it
the
based on
person-
comic?
I'm sorry.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, you got it. You got it. Thank you. Clint Eastwood. So when we see the vigilante, right? And we see there's always a bad thing playing, they're bad guys. And then the vigilante is like doing something to the bad guys and winning over the bad guys. When we participate, when we say, oh, he should die, the bad guy should die, then we are participating in that
Because
law
it's
of karma.
different, right?
Yeah. So we have to be very, very careful. And this is where that like, you know, to get rid of the karmic conditioning, the collective karmic conditioning, we have to be so self-aware of what is happening, stay in that background of awareness. How am I participating? When I see my coworker act that angry, when I'm angry, like the reaction is coming, that means I'm participating in that karmic law. And I've already set it in motion because it came, the reaction came, right? I've already set the cause and the effect is going to come back to me in the fact that that person will shout at us. Right? So that's where the presence, and that's why the Qigong practice. And I wanted to tell Kelly and Kelly, I absolutely love the earth marrow.
I do it every day too.
I do it every day. I do it every day. I do it every day.
Right, it's incredible.
Because I can be sitting at work and just take like 2 minutes and close my eyes. And I mean, I'm here and I'm sitting. There's no more phone calls. So I can do 2 or 3 breaths, right? No matter where you are, you can do it. So it's a beautiful thing. So that's why the Qigong practice is really important. So if anybody wants their website, I think
Yes,
Kelly.
it is, right. It's yes, check it out.
I'm waiting for the courses, Kelly. I'm waiting for the courses, the beginner courses, so that we can take.
Yeah,
the
me
courses
too, because
on-
I don't think I can do advanced one at all. And, you know, yes, Poonam and I will wait for you.
We're working on
We're
it.
working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We'll let you know as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, on that note, we've been almost an hour, so I know it's getting late for Patricia and Ken. And
That's okay. I got so many gifts from you, all of you today, and I really didn't realize that it's going to be about me, but I guess that's what the universe
the
gave.
present,
So I'm very grateful. Thank you for all your gifts. Thank you.
y'all have been incredibly amazing in all the insights that arose, and people online, Louise and Cecile and Summer, everybody's been online. Sri Lakshmi and Patty have joined us online as well. So thank you so much. Eternally grateful. Have a fantastic day. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.